So right now we're going to take a look at the technology called hyperbaric oxygen therapy. These are the chambers. Behind the photographer, there's a whole bunch of control rooms and compressors and things like that we'll get to in a few minutes. But for right now, I want to explain to you all what these are used for. Bottom line is, if there was one technology that could and does affect positively virtually every medical condition there is in the world, it would be this. So let me explain to you why that is. As you can see, opening this is like opening a vault. As if there's millions of dollars of pure gold in here, there's something even more valuable. In here is the stuff that gives you life and energy and health. So as you can see, I pulled the bed out here just a little bit. Normally there's a stretcher that comes out all the way so the bed can slide all the way out and the patient can get on it, and then we slide them all the way back in. It's very comfy in here. The patient will stay in here for anywhere up from an hour to 2 hours, breathing pure oxygen under pressure. Now, let me explain why all that is important. So a minute ago, I mentioned that hyperbaric oxygen therapy, which these chambers are one of the single most important therapies in history that is literally useful for almost every single medical condition that a person could be suffering from. It is incredible what these things do. And my job right now is to explain to you how and why and that all happens. In fact, you can hear the noise in the room, and that's because the other chambers down this line over here are being used right now. It's almost impossible to find a time during our day where these chambers aren't being used because they're in such demand. So we got one that's available, and I'm going to explain the whole kit and caboodle, the whole Megillah you're going to learn right now from this one. All right, so what is this thing? You saw me open that door. That door looked like a huge door of a vault from Fort Knox. Okay, you see this glass here. This glass is about 3 inches thick. It is huge, okay, and thick and strong. This thing is built like a tank because it gets pressurized. It gets pressurized with regular air up to 3 atmospheres of pressure, which is 3 times the amount of atmospheric pressure that we have right here sitting on the surface of the earth. Now, the object is not just to be under the conditions of pressure, but to be under pressure while you're breathing pure oxygen. Now, I don't know if you can see them through the glass, but in the back over there, there are oxygen concentrators, which pull pure oxygen out of the air, concentrate that oxygen, pressurize that oxygen, and deliver to this mask a constant flow of pure oxygen under very regulated pressures. We have to know exactly what kind of pressures are going on, so that when you put this thing on and you're under pressure, okay, because of the pressure in the chamber, this oxygen is delivered to your lungs with complete ease. You don't have to breathe against the pressure in the chamber. It's totally natural breathing, but you're breathing in pure oxygen. All right, now, why is that all so important? We know that oxygen is critical, that all the animals living on the planet essentially need oxygen. They need to get it from someplace in order to survive. That oxygen, with the extra electrons that are on the oxygen, are the source of the energy for every cell in our body to do the things that it needs to do. So whether it is your brain or your big toe or all the organs in between, every cell in your body needs oxygen in order to extract the energy from the oxygen to perform the functions that it's designed to do. Now, what do we do here? We take the oxygen, okay, and in a pressurized environment, we deliver the oxygen to you so that the pressure causes the oxygen to get forced into every tissue in your body, every cell in your body. Why is that important? In the vast majority of cases, when somebody is sick, part of the constellation of their illness is inflammation. And when a body is inflamed, the blood, you hear that big push? That was one of the pressurized chambers that purifies the air, just was releasing and cleansing. Don't worry about that. We'll explain that to you later. All right, getting back to the oxygen. Where was I? Oh, yes. That when you're inflamed, let me start again. No matter what condition, what illness you have, for the vast majority of conditions and illnesses, a component of that illness is inflammation. And when your body is systemically inflamed, the flow of oxygen, the flow of blood throughout your body is curtailed, is restricted, and you're not getting a full complement, a full flow of oxygen to the critical tissues in your body. That's not just the muscles and the bones we're talking about here, but we're talking about the organs as well, including, in fact, your brain. So how does this device help? You're inside, the door is closed, the pressure is built up in here, okay, let's say to 2 atmospheres, and you're being delivered through the mask a flow of pure 100% oxygen that, because of the pressure in the chamber, the oxygen is actually pushed into your cells, pushed into all of the tissues of your body. You are essentially using the pressure in the chamber to augment the ability of the oxygen to fill the cells of your body in order for them to function. So even though the blood flow may be curtailed, even though you have inflammation, you're still supercharging every cell in your body with pure oxygen because of the combination of the high pressure and the pure oxygen that you're breathing through the mask. How often would you need to do this? Well, quite frankly, it depends on what condition you have. Some people need to do this 20 or 30 times because that's like every day, 20 or 30 times for a whole month. That's because they have a condition of inflammation that requires that much treatment, that much therapy in order to replenish the body with all its oxygen and for the cells to detox and for the regeneration to occur and all the necessary things that were not happening during the inflammatory period. Some people literally only need this one time and they get revived. So it really depends on the condition that the patient has. Everyone benefits from it. Everyone feels good coming out of there. Some people worry that the pressure is going to give them a headache or a stomach ache or something like that. It doesn't, because we can regulate how fast the pressure builds and how fast it releases at the end of the therapy. It is like being back in your mommy's womb. It is, well, maybe that's what we should call it, the hyperbaric oxygen womb. It is extraordinary, and the therapy that occurs here is vital and miraculous. So I mentioned before that virtually every condition that you can possibly imagine that a person could be afflicted by is helped by hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Literally, we treated over 3,000 COVID patients and vaccine-injured patients and long-haul COVID, all sorts of flus, broken bones and injuries from surgery, you name it, anything that can possibly happen where your body needs to be regenerated, it needs the energy of oxygen to do it, and you get more oxygen in every cell than you could possibly get from any other therapy in these chambers. However, you got to control the pressure in these chambers, and this device over here, or these controls over here, is where we control the amount of oxygen flow and the amount of pressure, the amount of air that's in there. This right here is the central control panel where all of that is taken care of. Now, I mentioned that the air in here is very tightly controlled. The air, of course, has to be pressurized. It's the same air that's out here, but it has to be concentrated and pressurized. It has to be cleansed. It has to be purified, has to be pressurized. All the particulate matter has to be taken out of it so that you're inside a pressurized chamber with highly purified air. And then, of course, with the mask, you're breathing pure oxygen that's also under pressure and flowing into you at a particular flow rate per minute. All of this is highly regulated and controlled so that you get the maximum benefit. In this room back here is where we actually do the pressurization and cleansing of the air that goes into the chambers, and I'll show you that next. So here is the room, all the machinery that prepares the air to be pushed and pressurized inside the chambers. Here we have these huge compressors that compress the air. Here we have a number of different devices that cleanse the air, purify the air, take out any particulate matter out of the air. So the air is super, super fresh and clean. It's also desiccated, it means it's dried, and there are all sorts of filters in the back that you can't see. And then the air gets stored in these huge chambers back here. In fact, you can see air hyper clean. From this big hyper clean chamber, I promise you that wasn't me, it was that big thing over there, all right? That's where the air goes into the chambers. The hyper clean air is what pressurizes the chambers. And so this room is a remarkable feat of incredible engineering just to set up this room properly in order to pressurize the 3 hyperbaric chambers that we have in the room right next door. And there you have it. This is where the magic happens, and that's where the patients get all that magic in those chambers.